Good evening, I am Adventure Argonaut. This is the Golden News. I will be discussing the news from the past week. And before we get to it, well, of course, the Iran war is going to be big focus on that, but there's going to be other stuff too. But first, I have to determine that all my streams are running. Are Kick, Twitch, and Rumble, are all of them working? I think they are, but let's just still make sure. Okay, that chat's over there. So Kick, Twitch, Rumble. Okay, I think everything looks okay. Hey, Agent Double Hertz. Good evening indeed to you as well, good sir. Welcome, welcome. So let's get to business. First this here, that there. All right. So is Benjamin Netanyahu, is he dead or alive? There was the coffee drinking video last we saw. At least maybe there's been something else that is a bit sus. And of course, gonna be discussing the war. So first there's this video. Let's let it play in the background. So he's supposedly saying that, look, I'm not dead. I have, because there was another video where it seemed like he has like 6 fingers or something. So I'm not AI and stuff. And I think the movements and everything, they're a bit off in this. And also, like, it's during wartime. Um, so I think it's weird that he's just casually having coffee, and people have noted how this a coffee cup, the even though he drinks from it, it doesn't seem to go down, it doesn't spill it, even it's almost full. And also I think his, just look at his hand here, it looks like a claw. Like, of course it might simply be because he's Benjamin Netanyahu. Maybe I wouldn't put it past him that he doesn't have a human hand but a weird claw, but still, like, it's weird how he's holding the cup. uh But let's assume for a moment that this is AI, that this is not really him. Does it mean he's dead? Not necessarily. It could mean he's injured or something. Um, or that, or maybe he's in hiding. He doesn't want to get out to, where somebody might assassinate him. Or maybe maybe he wants people to think he's dead. And I don't know if it like, and would that be for the benefit of Iran? Like, of course, Iran probably wants him dead, but like, I don't think that it would really benefit like Netanyahu or Israel to make Iran think that he's dead, and then 2 weeks later he shows, no, I'm just fine and dandy. Like, if he is sort of faking his death or something, maybe it would be because of internal Israeli politics. Because uh, I understand that he's not that popular in some parts of Israel either. So maybe, because of internal politics, he's has to be in hiding or something. But I don't really know what's the reason for this. But like, my 2 cents is that this is AI. Like, can't say with absolute certainty. And I'm not gonna be playing Ding Dong the Witch is Dead just yet. But still, it is. Like, sometimes the simple answer is the truth. Like, it would, since he hasn't shown up in a, some public committee hearing or whatever, like a, actual political event or anything like that. Instead, it's like, random, like a publicity video, so almost like an ad for him. So that's also very strange. So yeah, maybe he's dead or close to it, but I guess we'll find out more in a few days or something. So here is, yeah, he has 5 fingers in this image. Yeah, but there's another image. Okay, this isn't the best. Like here, this looks weird. It's not quite a extra finger, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a bit like, it is like, just to play devil's advocate. What was that? 6 fingers? Where's the 6 fingers? Like they look a bit weird here. Oh yeah, this one. Yeah. So it is possible it's some sort of compression artifact or whatever. It's just digital issue. That's possibility to play devil's advocate, but it's probably uh, AI or something. Okay, and the Kremlin here is saying, heads up everyone, Netanyahu is dead. Official X handle of Israeli PM just deleted this tweet. Remember my tweet about Israel Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent left a press conference to talk to Trump directly on call. On return, he was visibly shaking. Now the PM's office is urging citizens to rely on verified updates. One thing is clear, Netanyahu is dead. Well, I wouldn't say it's clear, but there's good chance that is true. So official statement from the Prime Minister's office. Rumors circulating on social media about PM Benjamin Netanyahu's status are unconfirmed. We urge citizens to rely on verified updates. Efforts are underway to establish contact. PM Netanyahu remains committed to Israel's security. So this was deleted apparently. Well, this, yeah, like even whatever the case, like it doesn't make it sound like his condition is very good, whatever it is. And then there's this. So just as I told you, here's come the draft. Congress in America, of course, passes automatic involuntary draft resignation registration. So they really want them to go die for Israel, I guess. So they're probably now waiting for a proper false flag to give the impetus, like casus belli, for their war to truly start. Trump, we won. You never like to say too early that you won, but we won. In the first hour, it was over. Okay, then why is, if they won in the first hour, why are still missiles flying back and forth like a couple of weeks later? Trump declares victory in Iran war despite not bringing our troops home and not achieving any measurable goals other than blowing up an all-girls elementary school. Well, okay, they did kill the 87-year-old man, the Ayatollah Khamenei. So that's at least they get 1 point for that. A war score or something. Of course, he was old and he was looking to die in glorious battle like a true Klingon instead of in his bed. Iran military monitor, which boasted 2 million followers, has been banned without any publicly known reason. So on Twitter, of course, or Xitter. Yeah, well, the is quite obvious why it's banned. And then here's reporter. Any evidence Iran was about to attack United States White House? The president had a feeling. Hooked on a feeling. The report that the president launched a war on feelings. That is what Jared Kushner told the president. It was final.
The president said yesterday for the first time that he had to strike Iran because he believes that Iran was going to strike U.S. targets within 7 days. And then he then bumped that down later to 3 days. Where is he getting that?
Well, that's not the first time the president has said that he chose to launch Operation Epic Fury because he felt as though Iran was going to strike the United States and our assets in the region first. Again, I addressed this in the last briefing. This was a feeling the president had based on facts provided to him by his top negotiators who had been engaged with the Iranian regime in a good faith effort. The Iranian regime was lying, deceiving the United States of America, clearly trying to continue their nuclear program to create a bomb that would, of course, threaten the United States of America. Again, their ballistic missile arsenal, they were rapidly and aggressively increasing that by the month to a place where they would essentially build immunity for themselves, where a future president or President Trump would not be able to launch this incredibly successful operation. And so the president, again, as I have reiterated and he has said, was not going to sit back and allow the Iranian regime to threaten or to attack the United States of America.
Right. So where's the part about President launched a war on a feeling. Was the
7 days.
beginning?
And then Iran, because he believes that Iran was going to strike U.S. targets within 7 days. And then he then bumped that down later to 3 days. Where is he getting that?
Well, that's not the first time the president has said that he chose to launch Operation Epic Fury because he felt as
Well,
though
whatever. It doesn't. I don't think this is so accurate. Quite like like maybe it's cuts a bit too many corners in my opinion. Whatever. But it's like well, it's been pointed out many times by several people that the casus belli for America isn't very clear. Like if it's something other than Israel wanted the war. Thomas Massey says DOJ deleted key Epstein files before it could expose Israel.
Sentence. And finally, I know the DOJ wants to say they're done with this document production. The problem is they've taken down documents before we were able to go over to the DOJ and look at the unredacted versions. They took down some of the most significant documents, two of them involving Virginia Giuffre's case and other things. The picture of Epstein at in a room where it's got CIA written on the boxes, that's been taken down. We want to be able to look at all these files. They can't keep those documents down after they've already produced them.
I want to talk to you about one.
Okay. Well, yeah, that should that should have been a later section, but well, it's still related to the war. So, anyways, the reason why they went to war. China is getting its oil, everyone else, no soup for you. So Iran shipped over 11 million barrels of oil via Strait of Hormuz since war began. Oh, China. China. President Donald Trump has appointed Erica Kirk to the United States Air Force leadership. Erica Kirk will help advise the Air Force on issues affecting the academy. P.S. I had to Google this before because I thought it was satire. So yeah, like apparently it's real. It's not satire. Like, what's her expertise? Like, it's sort of like neither answer sounds that good. Like, either she is some sort of intelligence or military expert, which I see she probably wasn't supposed to be, or like they're just hiring an incompetent person because of whatever nepotism or for I don't know PR reasons, but who actually likes Erica Kirk. Like neither the left nor the right like her for obvious reasons. Um, yeah. And South Korean media released footage showing the THAAD missile defense system being moved to Israel. All six launcher vehicles have left the site, and radar and fire control units are also expected to be relocated. They found out they are just going. Yeah, and supposedly now South Korea is sort of looking to end the war with the North, like coincidentally. Because the Korean War, I guess, is officially still going on, even though it really hasn't gone on for decades. Canada has also revolted against US Israel warmongers. Canada is not joining the war with US and Israel and never will. First Spain, then Mexico, now others are also joining the trend, which is good, of course. But like, I still have full confidence that uh, this leadership in these different countries, they're gonna, they're not gonna continue on the course of making good decisions. A person who runs this account might actually be a psycho. So yeah, so this is from the official White House page. So like uh, animation, like clips from Wii Sports or something, contrasted with U.S. drone strikes or missile strikes or something like yeah, this sort of stuff is it's whatever if it's uploaded by Magaman 69 account or something. When is the White House? Like, this just shows like truly idiocracy is here. Like, we don't have to wait for it. It's not quite as dumb as is the reality in the movie, but still, like, so either the audience for this video is dumb or the person who made it is, like, yeah, subhuman. This is not what the United States did to Hiroshima. This is what United States is doing to Tehran right now. So UN officials suggest the US is also already using tactical nuclear weapons in Iran. It doesn't necessarily mean they're suggesting unless they're doing it somewhere else, but it does a little bit look like a mushroom cloud. I'm not convinced it's a nuke, but I guess it could be. I haven't heard anything from Iran saying whether it is or isn't or anything like that. The US drops a 15-ton bomb on Iran. Those are the defensive strikes. So I think this is the same animation or the same video, right? So I guess it's not a nuke according to this. But yeah. The UN just passed a resolution against Iran, demanding Iran stop bombing US bases in the Gulf. They didn't ask the US and Israel to end the war they started. They didn't condemn the bombs on schools. They didn't mention the 168 little angels in Minab. Just Iran. Stop defending yourself. Stop responding. Stop existing. The UN is useless. No, it's not useless. It's evil. Look into Lucy's trust, Lucifer trust, and all that stuff. Um, it's meant to serve Lucifer, which probably isn't doing that well, but which is a good thing. The resolution proves it. The double standard is the policy. Iran must flatten Israel before ending any war. That's the only language the empire understands, the only logic the UN respects. Resolutions don't stop bombs, missiles do, drones do, resistance does. The UN passed a paper. Iran has missiles. The world knows which one matters. Okay. Iran strikes a Thai ship attempting to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. I guess they didn't blow up the whole ship, which is probably very humane of them. I wonder still if people died, but of course, probably they said that none shall pass except Chinese ships or whoever is allowed to pass. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni just condemned the attack on Iranian schoolgirls, called it a massacre, demanded accountability. Not from Iran, from those who did it. This is huge. A Western leader naming the crime, no spin, no deflection, just truth. The attack on schoolgirls, the massacre, the accountability must be fixed. Meloni said it, the world heard it. Silence is breaking, narrative is cracking, the truth is getting through. See, some. It's good that if Melanie said that, but still, she's another turncoat who was supposed to be the next Mussolini or something, and but then she, invited more migrants and stuff. So I wouldn't get too excited that she's occasionally saying something reasonable. So let me get this straight. A team will not be playing in the FIFA World Cup because they are currently being bombed by the FIFA Peace Prize winner. So yeah, was it Trump or United States won the FIFA Peace Prize last year? And I don't know why is there a FIFA Peace Prize to begin with. And yes, this is, I guess, ironic because Iran is not going to join the World Cup, the football or soccer World Cup now, of course. And Trump said, the Iran national soccer team is welcome to the World Cup, but I really don't believe it is appropriate that they be there for their own life and safety. Thank you for your attention on this matter. Blah, blah, blah. So I think this is a cock statement to make from Trump. I think he should say, like, um, Iran team is welcome to join the cup if they want to, and we will do whatever is in, like, their I guess, or there might be dangers in them doing so, but United States is willing to provide all security necessary to make them safe. So he would get at least like a look good diplomatically or something, like, because it's not the football players that's gonna they're not the warriors of Iran. It's just people playing football, and I don't think there's gonna they're going to be a national security threat or anything like that. But it just makes him sound like, he can't control his own country even. And here's Hans Benjamin Brown says extensive geophysical evidence proves that beyond shadow of doubt use of nukes by US and or Israel. Nord Stream was nuked. RU Duma de-ratified MPT or whatever this gobbledygook is. And Tartus, Syria was nuked on December 15, 24, and Russia, Iran, um, Strat partnership in January 25. So this is a Swiss theoretical physicist who documents covert nuclear weapon use. Okay, so no idea whether this guy is correct about these claims, but see, so he's a theoretical physicist, which is a a bit sus title in my opinion. This is a video from Tel Aviv, supposedly. Yeah, so they're taking damage. Oh no, I'm heartbroken that this is going on. And Iraq has now joined Iran in burning an effigy of the demon Baal, which had a Star of David placed on its forehead. The crowd is linking Baal directly to the West and Israel. Yeah, they should. Baal is burning in hell. Oh no. Japan just made it official. Support for the US war on Iran is now their position. The empire, but I am not sure if they. I don't. Somewhere somebody said that Japan is sending troops there, but somewhere they said they're not. So I don't really know what's going on. Anyway, the empire expands. The alliance honors war grows. Japan, which knows what nuclear bombs do. Japan, which has peace constitution. Japan, which was supposed to be different. Now they're in officially on the record. The same Japan that imports most of its oil from the Gulf. The same Japan that will pay when prices spike. The same Japan that just signed up for more. The world is watching another domino fall. The question is how many more before the whole board is down. Uh, okay, I don't know. It's a bit too verbose, but yeah, I don't think this is a good decision from Japan, and I do hope that the Japanese people would throw her out of office because she seems to be a complete turncoat. And some Japanese do want her out, but we can get to that later. So, Israeli airstrike hits Lebanon National Public University in Beirut. Two leading academic professors killed, together with countless students. Crimes against humanity. Okay, and no community note saying this is a bullshit claim, so I guess it's true. In Israel, the situation is now out of control. A fire saw engulfing Tel Aviv. Karma is a bitch, ain't it? Yeah, no community note, so it's probably true. And Trump lost the guy who entered the Capitol and went to jail for him, by the way. So the so-called Q shaman. Oh yeah, Oh yeah, and fuck Israel and fuck Donald Trump. Yeah. Uh-huh. Pakistan has joined Iraq, Iran, Mexico in burning the child trafficking demon Baal with the Star of David on its forehead. The crowd said it symbolized opposition to Israel and global Satanism. Based. I also oppose Israel and global Satanism. The sailors aboard the USS Ford are approaching a state of total mutiny, nothing but disdain for the leadership. So no idea where the Karabochka like got this information, whether he made it up or whether it's just a rumor or whether it's a fact. But it wouldn't really surprise me if something like this is happening. Like I don't think all of the U.S. soldiers and sailors and stuff are complete brain dead golems. Probably some of them have, brain and a sense of right and wrong, which, would make them oppose this war and Trump's recent actions. and confirmed several US military bases are experiencing internal revolt as a huge number of soldiers are refusing to go to the battlefield and die for Israel. This will have a devastating impact on Pentagon and the White House. Internal revolt is the first time to be experienced. So yeah, here it says it's a fake news merchant from Nigeria. So no idea where a royal ambassador got this information, whether he made it up or whether it's just a kernel of truth. But yeah. So Associated Press says Romania's top defense body has approved a U.S. request to increase its use of air bases to aid in the Middle East campaign. And Thomas Fassi here says this is why they had to rig the Romanian elections. So yeah, it's because they didn't allow the guy to win who would have probably won and just postponed the election and then made another election without allowing the guy that the people would have probably voted for to attend. So democracy in Romania is even more blatantly fake than many other countries. Trump on Iran. We support gays, but Iranians throw gays off the buildings. We have to wipe out evil. It's an evil curse. We must save the gays. He's with Jake Paul here. So yeah, Jake Paul has joined Trump's cause. Isn't this like I said somewhere on Twitter that it's like a complete heel turn. Like this is like WWE for Trump, and like because everybody hates Jake Paul, right? That's what I keep hearing. And if Trump allies himself with him, this is like so even the dumbest people in the crowd understand. Like now he's Trump is a heel now. He's not a good guy you should root for. Iran has threatened to cut the undersea internet cables to Gulf countries if they continue to harbor U.S. military. Good. Uh, Iran is literally offering to cut India, Pakistan, and Africa from the global internet, and they're supposed to be the bad guys? Yeah, good point. Switzerland announces it will shut its embassy in Iran. So much for being neutral. Well, yeah. How about Israel? Or are they just worried that, it's gonna get bombed? Maybe that's why they're shutting down the embassy. Um, so I thought it was AI, but turns out it's real. Written on the missile. Vaccine for pedophiles made in Iran. Yeah, because Israelis like to write stuff on their missiles as well, and this is very appropriate. China has banned the export of jet fuel and it's Australia's biggest supplier. This is what it means when Australian politicians sacrifice Australia for Israel. So yeah, good is if Australia suffers for being zogged. Why are all the on-ground footages from Strait of Hormuz? It's not on ground; it's on ship. Why from Strait of Hormuz? Why are they coming from Chinese sailors posting on Douyin? Is there a deliberate suppression on the U.S. media platform? Yes, it's not just U.S. probably, but most of the West. Yeah, and of course people pointed out the irony of China being the one providing the freest information here. So Putin was selling oil to India at just $50 a barrel. India stopped buying Russian oil under US pressure, but now India has a waiver to buy Russian energy from the US. Russia is now telling India it will not give any more discounts because sanctions are gone and India needs Russia now. They will now charge $90 a barrel. Uh-huh. So energy expert Amos Hochstein, yeah. If true, this is the biggest L for Indian foreign policy since independence. I guess. Trump asked the world to send warships. Here's what every country said. France officially rejected, will not send warships. China, no response, called it a sovereign right. United Kingdom discussing options with allies, no commitment. Japan silence, 70% of Japan Middle East oil comes from Hormuz. South Korea, no confirmation. Seoul caught between Washington and its own oil dependency. Germany, no convert. Like, I'm just wondering here. Like, surely USA knew that this was likely to happen. That the Strait of Hormuz would be blockaded and stuff, and it would affect all of these countries. Like, did they counter it? Like, is this part of the plan to cause some sort of chaos in the world, and eventually the solution will be provided? Like, order ab chaos, or order out of chaos. Um, so anyway, Germany, no convoys board. Norway rejected. Qatar already stopped gas production, declared force majeure. Their energy minister said this will bring down economies of the world. UAE, Gulf states tried to stop this war because they knew the implications. Iran still attacking ships, still laying mines, still blocking the strait. So 10 countries, 0 warships. The most powerful military on earth asked for backup and got ghosted. I guess it's funny if it's true. Larry Silverstein has opened out an insurance policy on the Citibank building in LA specifically for terrorist attack. So is this a joke or is this real? Because Larry Silverstein he owned the World Trade Center buildings and made a lot of money from the insurance on 9/11, of course, or after that. He didn't probably get paid the same day. So this guy Arcades, whoever this is, said, I went for 7 days, no posting, no commitment. I went dark for 7 days, no commenting, enjoying a personal reset, getting stuff done. This guy bothers me. So is this Professor Jiang? Um, this guy bothers me innately deep within. I sense he is all wrong. No one in the world rises this fast. Not even a real professor, probably borrowed from Professor Dave. Who's Professor Dave? It's like maybe the name rings a bell, but not sure. He reeks of a think tank. Unlike researchers like myself who have extensive bibliographies of source materials, this guy talks about everything as if he's an authority, and this volume and fluidity is superhuman if truly he is a one man op. But I don't think so. There's probably a team of people who feed him talking points, a think tank of people feverishing, I guess, feverishly lifting others' content and combining all the best materials from hundreds of content creators, and Professor Jiang is merely the face to the public op. What do you think? Well, I also thought how sus it is. Like suddenly everybody was talking about him one day, but it's like, of course, like, is the stuff he's saying, is it right or wrong, or like can somebody point out? And at least he's made some claims, like my that his theory, um, like, or his model sort of predicts that A, B, and C are gonna happen, and if A, B, and C don't happen, then the model is wrong. So at least in hindsight, like yeah, later on we can see if he was correct again about some statements. So at least there's some. I've seen many other people say things about him that, like, that he, like, almost like, no, it's over 20 years ago, he was deported from China for spying, but then like 5 years later he was invited back to China and stuff. So yeah, it's weird, but still most of the people keep attacking his sort of background and stuff, not his arguments that I've seen. Anyways, so what's gotten into your, because Turning Point don't like Massey, and yeah, here is Jake Paul with Trump against Massey. Who you're gonna side with? And Thomas Massey says, what's gotten into you all? And Charlie Kirk said, presumably before he died, yeah, that was like 10 years ago, one of my favorite congressmen, Thomas Massey. Big God sucks, yeah. And humanoid robot soldiers are now being deployed in Ukraine. These black human shaped robots are equipped with visors and can carry small weapons such as pistols, shotguns, and rifles. Ukraine is one of the first places in the world where humanoid military robots are being tested in an active war zone. So, yeah, that's creepy if it's true. Why isn't there like some sort of Geneva Convention on this crap? Qasem Jalali, Iranian ambassador to Russia, Iran does not need mediators with Israel because it does not consider Israel a party to the negotiations. So, Iran, a few hours ago, we no longer distinguish between the US and Israel. Yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it. Russia to Iran, let me mediate between you and the US. Iran to Russia, we are not going to mediate with Israel. The door to Russian betrayal is closed. Iran refused Russia's air defense arms deals because Russia always leverages these in order to further Israel's goals in the region. Simply see what it did to Syria. It left it unarmed in the face of constant aerial onslaught and eventually stabbing Assad in the back. Iran nipped that in the bud and fought with its own strength for better or worse. In truth, under Putin, Russia is no different to the US, just a proxy of Israel, albeit a shitty one. And Belgian Prime Minister calls for EU to normalize ties with Russia. Yeah, I guess that's good. Okay. Tuomas Malinen says he's a Finnish economist. I didn't even notice it. It was like I bookmarked his comment. Like I noticed only like today or yesterday when I was like going through my bookmarks for this stream. That oh, it's this guy. Anyway, practically every Russian I know has started to question President Putin after watching Iran forcing Israel and US to kneel in just 2 weeks. Vladimir has been grinding in Ukraine for 4 years, killing millions of Slavs, which is what the Zionist Satanists want. POTUS and Putin are, without a doubt, the worst failures of modern leaders. It's time to get rid of these fucking boomers. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like it's fucking 4 years already in Ukraine. Because I remember when the war started, I was expecting maybe Ukraine to last 2 weeks until they would surrender. But like doesn't seem like Russia really wanted to win the war for whatever reason. Croatian President Zoran Milanovic has just destroyed the Israeli ambassador. Ambassador Gary Koren called Iran's Zagreb embassy a terrorist den. Milanovic fired back. That official from Tel Aviv said it's a terrorist den in the middle of Zagreb. Zionist, I don't need that. Iran is a UN member that was attacked without UN mandate. Iran doesn't attack anyone in Europe. Then he went further, called the EU a pack of house cats, unable to unite, unable to stand. This is a European president telling Israel, leave your filth elsewhere, defending Iran's sovereignty, condemning unmandated attacks. The contrast is sharp. While Germany sends weapons and France sends ships, Croatia sends truth. Zionist meddling called out, US UN Charter defended, Empire's narrative rejected. The world is changing, even in Europe, even at the top. It seems a bit too optimistic, but to say that even in Europe and on the top, world is changing. I don't know whether it's changing for the better, but I hope so. Oh, yeah, and Trump completely and totally endorses Jake Paul for political office. Well, we talked about this already. Let's just see his beautiful face here. Yeah, whatever. Okay. But that was the last Iran war stuff for now. So let's move on to Epstein stuff. So there's this weird novel from the 70s, I think, that sort of predicts Trump. Well, of course, Donald Trump existed already back then, but I don't know, was he famous already in the 70s or just in the 80s or what? But let's go have a look. And of course, there's other Epstein file stuff in this as well. Gonna get over this one. Bro combined Wexner, Trump, and Epstein into one guy and then wrote a novel about Trumpleman, ruthlessly taking over the world. I'm dead, I died. So Leslie Donald Epstein, and doesn't he sort of look like our Jeffrey? Leslie Donald Epstein, May 4th, 1938 to May 18th, 2025. So he died last year. Was an American educator, essayist, novelist. Leslie Epstein, born Leslie Donald Epstein. And I think I had like many more of like a few more tabs about this book marked, but either there was a glitch or they were deleted. But I have information here about his novel. So the novel is called King of the Jews. I think was it? Yeah, it's 1979 published. So this 1979 classic tells the darkly humorous story of I.C. Trumpleman, a man whose fancy determines the fate of others, chosen as the head of the Judenrat, not Judenrat. Rat is like some sort of council, I think. Anyway, Trumpleman thrives on the power granted him and creates an authoritarian regime of his own within the ghetto. By turns a con man, a charismatic leader, and merciless dictator, Trumpleman reveals himself as an extraordinarily complex antagonist. So, yeah. Mature, brilliantly sustained, thoroughly engrossing. Yeah, so it's weird that this book exists by Leslie Epstein about Trumpleman, and I don't know. I haven't read the book, but it's like, and yeah, so very surprisingly, he's Jewish. This Epstein as well. Here's some other books he's written. I no idea if any of them are sort of prescient like this one, or some that there's any other weirdness about them. And just to go back, like this is old news, but the Baron Trump novels are two children's novels written in 1889 and 1893 by American author and lawyer Ingersoll Lockwood. They remained obscure until 2017 when they received media attention for perceived similarities between the protagonist and US President Donald Trump and his son Barron. So yeah, there's the novels are called Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump, not with two R's like the kid's name, and his wonderful dog Vulture, and the sequel Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. So yeah, he discovers underground civilizations, offends natives, flees from entanglements with local women, and repeats his pattern until arriving back in the Castle Trump. Yeah, I don't know. This like, what's the significance of these? Like, is this really further evidence that Trump released a time traveler, or there's some weirdness going on, or what, or just coincidence? See, let's load these. And so James Comer reveals that Jeffrey Epstein's accountant has now identified 5 clients who paid money directly to him. So the Rothschilds, Les Wexner, Leon Black, Glenn Dubin, and Steven Sidnowski. So I guess the Rothschilds is a big name. So like legally speaking, I guess America could start looking into Rothschilds and what also shenanigans they're doing around the world. But of course, they probably won't because Rothschilds probably own both Israel and America. If Epstein died in 2019, why is Karina Shuliak emailing about his FedExes in 2023? So yeah, here is Karina Shuliak, September 11th, 2023. Jeffrey wants you to FedEx one of Amy's books to LSJ Little Saint James, I guess. Can you give me a call, please? I'll explain. Thank you. But this guy says that the date is redacted in the official government release. So how did they get the date then? Like, is this like a false date, or is it somehow they managed to get it? Because they were like, some of the redactions you could just copy paste and get the what's written underneath. So is that the case? I'm not quite sure what's the significance here ultimately. Like, if it's a fact that she emailed Epstein years after his supposed death, or something else is going on. So Melania Trump was just one of Epstein's girls. I simply cannot believe this victory. No one called it. So from somebody to Epstein. We all thought she'd win. So it's just after Trump's victory in 2016. You must be happy though. I remember flying back with Donald on his plane. The first weekend I went to visit you in Florida was the weekend he met Melania and kept coming out of the bedroom saying, "Wow, what a hot piece of ass." Nuts. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying Saudi. Um, okay. And Alex Carp blasts Palantir conspiracy theorists. You're attacking the person protecting you, idiot. I'm only working for the safety of your privacy. It's like the first reaction, of course, is that he's just full of shit. That, of course, he's not really working for our privacy, but like, okay, well, what if he is? Like, maybe there is a, a bigger shark, a bigger fish that they is sort of protecting. Like, what are the implications that there would be another company than Palantir who's even doing more spying on people. Epstein tracked Jared Kushner in real time. Security clearance fights, bailout attempts, chief of staff rumors, 18 documents forwarded to Jeffrey Epstein's Gmail. Why was Epstein monitoring the president's son-in-law? Whistleblower says Ivanka Jared got security clearance over experts' advice. So I don't know. Not quite sure about these implications. Jared Kushner linked to Israeli-American brothers convicted of sex trafficking. Tal Oren and Alan Alexander, recently found guilty in a major U.S. sex trafficking case, had their surname redacted in the Epstein files. Despite claims from Kash Patel that the files contain no evidence of trafficking, Thomas Massey later exposed the names. In December 2020, the brothers attended Donald Trump's White House Hanukkah celebration. Oren Alexander wrote in a now deleted Instagram post. Spare your political views. The president just served us kosher food in his house and wished us a happy Hanukkah. Photos from the event showed Tal and Oren posing inside the White House. Their links to Trump world extended beyond parties. Oren Alexander brokered the $24 million Indian Creek mansion purchased by Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump in 2021. The brothers were also fixtures in elite Israeli and American networks. 7 years ago, twins Alon and Oren celebrated their 30th birthday at the upscale Claro restaurant in Tel Aviv, with a guest list including Israeli billionaire Shari Aronson and Donald Trump advisor Aaron Jordan. They were also major donors to pro-Israel and Jewish organizations, including Friends of the Israel Defense Forces, United Hatzalah, and the Jewish Federation. One acquaintance described the family. They are a very positive family, big Zionists. Okay, yeah, so Kash Patel lied again, or rather, his lies were caught again. So continues to Melania Trump being Epstein girls. Melania was technically one of Paolo Zampoli's girls, but Zampoli and Epstein clearly overlapped considerably, were arguably part of the same trafficking operation that also included the top executives of elite models like Gerard Marie. There's a reason Zamboli and Epstein both tried to acquire Elite in 2004. Oh, and also, did you know that Zamboli is currently a special envoy under Trump, involved in making trade deals alongside Epstein's neighbor Howard Lutnick? For a deep dive on Zamboli, including his cozy ties to Ghislaine's Terramar semi-article last year. Okay, yeah, I didn't know about Zamboli and Terramar. Like Terramar, like creeps me out when I see the name because I think Ghislaine Maxwell said like when she was asked like what if she's a citizen of any other country than United States or France or whatever, and then she said Terramar, like implying like it's a country and not a corporation or a organization. So Epstein files he witnessed babies being dismembered, their intestines removed, and individuals eating feces from these intestines. Trump, along with his wife Melania, were present. So this is why we're going to war with Iran. Trump will blow up the entire planet to protect himself and his pedophile cannibalistic buddies. Of course, this is just somebody's allegations in the files. Doesn't necessarily mean this is true, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was true. But like, I guess I still, to be sure, I need more evidence than just this claim. Nobody's talking about the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell's sister Christine is the co-founder of Gilead, the company the FBI uses for Amber Alerts. So yeah, Amber Alerts, I guess there's some sort of like, emergency alerts, I understand. Nothing is as they told you. So for Catholics, this may burst your bubble. Photo of Mother Teresa with Robert Maxwell, Israeli Mossad agent. They were able to child sex trafficking together. Maxwell is the father of Ghislaine Maxwell. So yeah, unless this is fake, this is a bit alarming. Major breaking news. The United States government now has officially announced the Rothschilds as official clients of Jeffrey Epstein. This is a big deal. So I wonder if it's related to the stuff I read earlier with the lawyer stuff. Oh, that was already loaded. Oh, fuck. I wonder what I deleted accidentally. Butterfingers, a foreign hacker in 2023. I guess I can I have the link somewhere here in my files so I can get to it later. Okay. So, foreign hacker in 2023 compromised Epstein files held by FBI source and documents show results. So, we live in the worst timeline ever. The FBI got hacked, and the hacker disgusted at the PDF file images they saw and not realizing it's a law enforcement server, threatened to turn the owner of the server over to the FBI. If his interpretation is correct, that's sort of fucked up, I guess. Charlie Kirk was killed with a miniature explosive likely made at Accurate Energetic Systems in Tennessee and purchased by the Department of Defense for $425,000 in May of 2025. You can bet Steve Feinberg was very involved in the planning of this public assassination. So no idea where this information is supposed to be coming from. But I guess it's possible it's true. I don't know. Okay. So politicians in 1996. I tried pot, but I did not inhale. Politicians in 2026. I fucked a child, but I did not eat it. Yeah, I can't really complain. Like it's actually seems somewhat accurate. Let's see. I'm wondering if this is one of the tweet I accidentally deleted. No, this is all right. I think. Yeah, and then let's go to the next part from Epstein stuff. Go to data centers in America. This is a very short segment, but because I'm not quite sure what these data centers are, but like I assume they give like +1 to the science stat of your empire for each science data center you build. So Illinois resident says everyone showed up to the city council meeting to oppose the 14 data centers being built. She said so many people showed up to oppose it, it took 6 hours with public comments. At the end, Democrats didn't care and unanimously voted to approve them. I just spent 6 hours at the city council meeting where they were discussing the 14 data centers they're going to build in my city, and public comment went on for hours and hours and hours of people telling them how badly our community does not need this and how detrimental it will be to the people, the wildlife, the health, and everything, all the negative impacts of the data centers. We told them and we told them over and over again. At the end, after sitting there for 6 hours telling them it's not what we want, they unanimously voted yes for the data centers in our face. Yeah, so maybe, you should do more than simply voting or, saying things. Perhaps you have to, build some oubliettes for these people. American in Maryland says he barely uses any electricity and his electricity bill is $675 because of data centers. I live alone. There is no reason why my 1 month bill should be $675 when the house is pitch black. When we talk about these data centers, there's no question that the reason why our bills are as high as they are is because you've got these multi-billion-dollar corporations, Meta, Amazon, who come into our communities, don't pay a dime in taxes. This is why our bills are the way they are, I guess. We know that multi-billion-dollar corporations don't pay a dime, and this is why we are suffering. Our quality of life is in the toilet. Plus, the people who have been elected to represent us are not doing their jobs. Okay, but that's it about the data centers. It's like, so are they like for AI or what? I'm not quite sure what they are and what all the harmful effects are. I'm not like, questioning it. I'm not trying to argue with the claim that probably they have some harmful effects and are probably not such a good idea. But let's see. Aha, okay, now I know the file that I deleted. Let's, or the tab is this one. Let's put it back. All right. So let's move on to the next part, which is, this is well, Spain, Austria, and other European news. So first, Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez announces Hodio, an AI-driven tool to monitor and quantify hate speech on social media. This tool will allow the government to track the presence, amplification, and impact of hate speech online. Sorry, my throat is getting a bit raspy or something. Anyways, so this guy is supposed to be based because he's not joining the war against Iran, which is good. But if he's pushing stuff like this, that's not so good. Unless this hate speech tool is used only to monitor, people who practice a lot of hate speech online and say like, "Oh, this guy is really based. He says a lot of hateful stuff on the internet. Like we should give him a raise or something." Then it's different. I doubt they're gonna do that though. The SNP has passed a pro-independence motion telling the UK government to begin to prepare for Scotland's exit from the Union. So Scotland is starting to exit from the Union, from UK that is, according to at least this post. It is interesting. Not sure, like, in theory, I would be pro independence for Scotland or any of the other kingdoms in UK, but like, I guess it depends, like, what sort of, like, what their motivations are. Like, are they because they want to leave UK because UK isn't, leftard or woke enough, and Scotland is even more woke now or something. If that's the reason, that's not such a good thing. But Well, we'll see what happens, won't we? So illegal food in Austria. Some people still don't believe me, but this is reality in Austria. It can be illegal to eat and post a photo of a certain dish on April 20th. Why this day? In extreme cases, it can even lead to years in prison. There is an urban legend that the Austrian dish made of dumplings and eggs, Eiernocker, was Hitler's favorite meal. So, of course, April 20th is his birthday. Eating and posting it on his birthday can be interpreted by law enforcement as a criminal act, a violation of the denazification law, Verbotsgesetz, specifically for 3G4 nationalische Betätigung in andere Weise, which carries penalties of up to 10 years in prison. There were cases of restaurants offering Eiernocker on the menu that day and getting investigated since the law is a or the whatever statute is severe crime. Police can immediately surveil you, raid your home, take your devices, and the court will examine whether there was a National Socialist motive behind the act of eating Eiernocker. In the worst case, someone could face prison. In any case, it can lead to criminal record. Don't take my word for it. Just search these two words: Eiernocker and Gericht. Okay. And Austria, 1 year in prison for an obituary. When his father died, he published an obituary. It said, "And the deeds of the dead live on forever." It featured a Germanic symbol of the world tree known as the Irminsul. For this and nothing else, the man sentenced to 1 year in prison. The court graciously suspended the prison sentence. The man convicted today is René Szymanek. He was formerly the office manager of National Council President Walter Rosenkrantz of FPÖ. This is our justice system. This is the state of so-called freedom of expression. Criminals and corrupt individuals are laughing themselves silly, by Magnet Stefan. And just if you're wondering about the state of freedom of speech in Austria, there is a strange law that has no clear definition but can bring you up to 10 years in prison for doing anything that could be related to National Socialism. There's another guy in prison for 9 years because he had runes on the baptismal candle of his child. Other people had to go in front of court because they ate and posted a meal that's supposed to be Hitler's favorite meal on his birthday. Every day in Austria, there's an investigation for such kind of an offense. Yeah, maybe they should just, you know, go all the way, and everybody should start wearing Buddhist symbols on them and throw these people in an oubliette. In Germany, there are 2 gang rapes every day. In the meantime, the German authorities coordinate an international police action against publishing house which is accused of wrongthing. The publishing house is called the Chester and was reprinting old books that were accused of being racist and anti-Semitic. There are police operations and house raids in Spain, Poland, Baden-Württemberg, Brandenburg, Saxony, Bavaria, North Rhine-Westphalia, the cities of Leipzig, Pforzheim, Neuenburg, Bottrop, Schönwald, Wertheim. The operation cost a fortune, is focused against 2 printing house owners, graphic designer, as well as an IT specialist and the owner of a business center. What a disgrace to be a police officer in the calm system. Okay. As the usual, the German police has directly sent their customer data of the publishing house to the left-wing press. Germany is an open-air prison. Yeah. An Austrian girl unlearned German after she went to public school in Vienna. She could no longer properly use articles and had forgotten certain words. After transferring to a private school, she had to repeat a year to catch up. This is happening in our own lands. Remigration till our schools are ours again. So what language was she speaking in school? English or Arabic or what? Um, but yeah, I remember like 20 years ago already reading an article that in Sweden, like they don't really use Swedish in universities anymore. Of course, it's a university, so it's different, but still, it's, even though, Swedish is not my favorite language, but still, it's a bit sad that they were, basically just using English in Swedish universities. And German Chancellor emerged on nuclear energy. Previous German federal governments decided to phase out nuclear energy. That decision is irreversible. I regret this, but it is the reality. So why can't they reverse? Of course, it would be that would also be silly. Like, let's say they're gonna bring back nuclear power, and then there's a new government, and then they're gonna get rid of nuclear power again. But it's just, yeah, maybe it's time to admit that democracy is part of the problem, not the solution. Explosive attack hits Jewish school in Amsterdam. Wait, is this? No, yeah, this is the part of Europe stuff. Explosive attack hits Jewish school in Amsterdam. An explosion overnight damaged part of Jewish school in the Buitenwelder district. Mossad is working overtime. Yeah, I don't have to say it. He said it. He said it. I don't have to. And arrested for carrying the Norwegian flag. So I presume this is in Norway and not like in, America or Iran or something. So police, you will not bring that flag, woman. I will die for this flag. A woman was arrested for carrying a Norwegian flag. The police officer is even an immigrant. Yeah, you see here. Norway has really gone off the deep end. So yeah, like I guess the context, like where was she gonna bring the flag? Like I guess it still needs a bit of fuck. I hate those fucking kick moped thingies because they're also in Finland nowadays everywhere. I don't live in Finland, but yeah, they are annoying because people are dumb and don't know how to use them safely. Anyway, and now we go to UK. Sikh restaurant, Sikh like those sect from India restaurant refuses to sell halal meat. 100 plus armed Muslim men swarmed the restaurant, tried to break in, film their kids, and threatened to rape and murder them. Police arrive but arrest none of the mob. Police arrest the restaurant owner the next day instead. London is doomed. So yeah, context. The restaurant owner reportedly arrested for possession of a kirpan, a Sikh religious knife, after he posted a video saying he was carrying it for protection. However, there is no confirmation as police have yet to release details of his alleged offense. Per English law, kirpans are legal as sacred Sikh article of faith, but not for self-defense in a public place. How about in your home? Can you use it for self-defense? So let me be clear though. The fact that he was arrested while 100 plus men armed with knives, 100, that's quite a lot. I doubt they all of them even fit into the store. So 100 men armed with knives and other weapons weren't a total farce. Refusing to serve halal is no justification for rape threat or death threats. Police have done nothing to address those blatant crimes and are instead targeting the victims. It is two-tier justice at its finest. I guess somebody could make some comment how ironic is like two different gangs of immigrants from far away are part of this, but of course, yeah, it's whatever. So a migrant man sexually assaulted a woman in UK. She killed him in self-defense. She was just 18 years old. She is now serving a 17-year prison sentence. This is one of the worst examples of how utterly corrupted the criminal justice system is. The judge even admitted she was being sexually assaulted when she defended herself. Martina should be free and living her life, but instead she's rotting away in a UK prison just because she didn't want to be raped. Where's the outrage? Where are the campaigners? Where's Jess Phillips? Nowhere. Why? Because the man who attacked her was a migrant, so they won't say a word. How about the people? Like, how about the British people? Why aren't they building oubliettes for these judges and politicians who allow this to happen? Uh, this is a sort of funny story. So, UK police arrive at a man's house to arrest him for his Xbox 360 gamer tag for racism and hate speech against Asians. The man's username was Ching Chong Chinaman, and the UK police promptly dropped the case once they realized the man himself was Chinese. That's funny. And this guy Alfonso Gonçalves says, my Revolut account was just banned by order of the public prosecutor's office. So I don't know what is Revolut, but it's some Portuguese thing, I guess. I'm really living under tyranny and being treated like an international criminal for defending Portugal and the Portuguese people. They are not after me, they are after you. I'm just in the way. So yeah, I don't know who this guy is, but he's of course asking for support and donations and stuff. So no idea like if he's like some big shot in Portugal or freedom fighter or whatever. And this is what freedom of speech looks like in Europe for your safety. So RT.com. So Russia Today is withheld in most European countries. Finland there too, Estonia, Denmark, Germany, Britain. Yeah. All right, but let's move on. Let's go to Japan. Oh yeah, before we go look at actually Japanese news and stuff, we will go through a short AI art exhibit because I just input the prompt something like Japan betrayed by government, and I got like these images. I think some of this looks pretty cool, and this is also quite interesting looking. I don't know why there's a Statue of Liberty there, and then this one. I think that the first and this one are the most best looking ones. Anyways, let's go to the story. The first thing Japan's female prime minister said was, "We will go zero immigration," and now she has declared that she will accept 1,000,000 200, well, I guess 1.23 million immigrants. She is pursuing the exact opposite policy, saying there will be no restrictions on accepting immigrants. She says she will welcome entire immigrant families. For example, what if one immigrant family has 6 members? That would be far more than 1.23 million. Even if someone comes to Japan alone, she says that Japanese taxpayers' money will be used to support their family and remaining in their home country. Even though a large number of immigrants have already entered the country and it is beginning to collapse, immigrants are now pouring in from countries with the highest immigration warning levels in the US. The taxes that Japanese citizens have diligently paid are not being used for the benefit of the people, but are being used to support immigrants who are destroying Japan. Like, none of this is news. Like, this is how the modern democratic systems work. Like, it's just like when our people gonna have enough? She says there are no funds, and that's why tax increases have been decided. Japanese Diet members' annual salaries are among the top 3 in the world. They make a lot of money even if they fall asleep during diet sessions or don't do any work for the people. Citizens are arrested if they don't pay taxes, but Diet members can evade tens of millions of yen in taxes and not be punished. Yeah, because the people don't have their katanas sharpened and shurikens in their lunch boxes. Diet members are the only ones who don't pay a single yen in inheritance tax. Why are they only concerned with taking money from the people? Until now, pensions were paid from the age of 60. This has now been changed to 65, and the next step is to pay them from age 72. What the fuck? We have to keep working and pay high taxes until the day we die. Some people overseas say that Japanese people love their work, but that's not true. Everyone wants to enjoy a relaxing retirement. Prices keep rising, but wages don't increase at all. Even a 700 yen convenience store bento box feels incredibly expensive. Yeah, I guess that sounds expensive. The government is extorting money from its citizens and giving it to immigrants whom they call refugees, who then drive luxury cars and live extravagant lives in Japan. And they boast it's only natural because I'm a Japanese citizen. Immigrants who can speak Japanese don't pay taxes can possibly be Japanese citizens. I feel nothing but anxiety about the current situation in Japan. I'm also worried about people around the world suffering from immigrants. I wanted to go to Paris. Paris is the setting for my favorite anime. I wanted to visit Louvre Museum. I wanted to gaze upon the beautiful cityscape. One more thing, I have a friend in Canada. He's a man I became friends with through a live streaming app called Twitcast. Twitcast. We kept in touch on social media for a while, but I have no idea how he's doing these days. I wonder if he's still taking photographs of artists. I wonder if he's living happily. I wonder if he's safe. So yeah, blah blah blah. Talking about, thank you for your concern about the current situation in Japan. Even though so many people overseas are concerned about us, more than half of Japanese people still seem unaware. It's not that they are unaware, but rather they have no interest. Talking about politics is taboo. Okay, let's see what else do we have here about Japan. Something shocking happened in Japan. During the Fukui governor election, a candidate promised to oppose immigration and multicultural coexistence policies. Because of this, San Saito supporters helped him win the election, but after becoming governor, he suddenly reversed his position and started supporting organizations promoting multicultural coexistence. Many voters feel betrayed. Even people in Fukui are angry, and some are now calling for the election to be redone. This is becoming a major political controversy in Japan. So that's good. Like, if the people are getting angry, they're paying attention. Like, they have to do more than that, but, that's a good start. I'm sure this is just a total coincidence that as the Japanese government is importing immigrants from the third world in record numbers, there's suddenly a conversation about phasing out vending machines. So if they're getting rid of jihangis, Japan spirit is gonna die in a couple of years. Like Japan and jihangis vending machines, they're like, they're very iconic and stuff for Japan. Japan said to join the US Golden Dome missile defense system. Announcement expected next week when the PM Takaichi meets Trump. Empire expands, war spreads, Golden Dome, bigger, costlier, more deadly. Japan, the country with a peace constitution. There's too much blah 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 from this account. I'm not gonna read all of it. North Korea is firing missiles at South Korea after they sent their interceptors to UAE. North Korea has ended chat. Yeah, North Korea fired about 10 ballistic missiles, South Korean military says. I think they just fired them into the sea, but of course, there is a show of force clearly, like if their missile defense systems are gone. But yeah, South Korea should really reevaluate their relationship with America. Japan picks the US as its primary oil and energy supplier. A $56 billion deal signed in Tokyo. Alliance strengthens, contract signs, money moves. Yeah. Okay, I'm not. I hate the way this guy writes, but yeah, I guess this is the news part here. Uh, what's this? Japan government will sue the private citizens who post defaming misinformation against them. Sounds like Germany. To protect democracy, these spies are a bunch of scums. A free and healthy discourse space where people can exchange opinions with peace of mind is necessary to protect democracy. The Liberal Democratic Party will appropriately respond to accounts that repeatedly post false or misinformation and malicious defamation of on SNS and the like, based on facts, including legal measures such as disclosure requests as necessary. Okay, whatever. See what do we have here. Japanese human rights lawyers are pushing for the penalization of Japanese people who criticize or mock Islam under the guise of hate speech. This was unheard of even 10 years ago and is a direct result of Japan becoming more multicultural. Yeah, and Japanese people have to relearn how to hate. And hate has can have a very positive impact in society if applied correctly. It's been revealed Saitama Prefecture will no longer publish crime per capita statistics after it showed Japanese and whites are exactly the same, while third world migrants commit significantly more. When asked why Saitama Governor Motohiro Ono said it's done to stop inflaming xenophobia. So yeah, it's just like in Europe that these third world people are violent brutes, but you're not allowed to say it. Pattern recognition bad. Takaichi's appointed digital minister Masaki Taira claims racist anti-immigration accounts on X are mostly Russian bots trying to undermine democracy. Why would Russian bots oppose immigration into Japan? Yeah, I guess Russians are the last bastion of Japanese nationalism because Japan doesn't care. And big scandal, Japan PM Takaichi is allocating massive funds into mRNA vaccine research. Very sus. Very sus indeed, if that's indeed what's going on. I still have more tabs after this one, different browser. Critics invoked Article 81 against PM Takaichi, arguing facilitating mass immigration is a form of treasonous conspiracy with foreign powers to undermine the state, which is a crime punishable only by death penalty. Do you think it's too far justified? Yeah, I think that's what people should be doing in all countries, accuse their treasonous politicians of treason if they commit treason. That's very simple. Alas, very few are doing it, and I don't know with the critics just means few people online, or are they actually like politicians or people with power mentioned in this Article 81. And Japan's Prime Minister Office reports that North Korea has launched ballistic missile, trajectory unknown. I think they landed in water. But let's go to Israel. Israel delenda est. Israel has to be destroyed for the sanity and security of the whole world. Because while Israel exists, we cannot have any stability in the world. Okay, so FBI. This well, this is indirectly Israel related. FBI Detroit led an active shooter attack prevention and preparedness training for the clergy and staff of Temple Israel in West Bloomfield. The FBI course combines lessons learned from years of research and employs scenario based exercises to help participants practice. So here's the FBI post from 2 months ago where they performed active shooter drills at the same exact synagogue that got attacked today. What a coincidence. So yeah, some synagogue in Detroit got attacked, and I don't know if anybody died except the attacker or the alleged attacker. This is crazy. This was the response when a single Jew called the police about suspicious activity outside the Michigan synagogue today. And people have pointed out that's more cops than when Trump was shot. And I'm pretty sure that's correct. Like this random synagogue has better security than the would be U.S. president, and who was already the former president at that point. So active shooter at Temple Israel Synagogue in West Bloomfield, Michigan. Major police operation on the scene. Yeah. And thank God nobody was critically injured or killed in the synagogue attack today, except for the attacker. Very lucky for the Jewish people, once again. Almost miraculous, actually. Reminds me of when the actor guy went to Comet Pizza and fired only into the computer. Yeah. Comet Ping Pong. Israeli journalist says online gamblers threatened him with violence and death to force him to change a report about an Iranian missile strike because more than $14 million in bets on Polymarket depended on whether a missile actually hit Israel that day. Initial demand: if you could correct this tonight, you would be doing me and many others a great favor. Escalation: you have exactly half an hour to correct your attempt at influence. Threat over losses: after you make us lose $900,000, we will invest no less than that to finish you. Final ultimatum: 86 minutes left. You're the only one responsible for your life. Another warning: you will discover enemies who will be willing to pay anything to make your life miserable. So yeah, interesting stuff. And what's this? Okay, Shoshana Strock, daughter of the minister Orit Strock, has committed suicide. She has made countless videos stating how she was abused and exploited by her parents. So she's the daughter of some Israeli politicians. If they tell you I committed suicide, don't believe it. Abusers are members of Knesset, officers, heads of communities, rabbis, people who threaten, people who can make any of us disappear. If they tell you I committed suicide, don't believe it. If they tell you I was involved in an accident, don't believe it. Yeah. As Shoshana Strock, daughter of Israeli settler minister Orit Strock, said, it is said to have been found dead after apparently committing suicide. She previously said, I grew up in the Jewish settlement in Hebron. Starting from age 2.5 or 2.5, my parents took me to pedophile rituals in which I've been programmed, trained using drugs, hypnosis, sexual abuse. When I was 13, my father started pimping me out in Tel Aviv, made money off my back. The abuse continued until much older age. I believe her. Sounds credible, her claims, and rest in peace. After Christ is King has been deemed anti Semitic in the US, now rosary beads are radical and worse than fire bombings, apparently. At The Atlantic says the rosary has acquired a militaristic meaning for radical, traditional, or trad Catholics. On this extremist fringe, rosary beads have been woven into conspiratorial politics and absolutist gun culture. These armed radical traditionalists have taken up a spiritual notion that the rosary can be a weapon in the fight against evil and turned into something dangerously literal. Their social media pages are saturated with images of rosaries draped over firearms, various warriors in prayers, Deus Vult, God wills it, crusader memes, and exhortations for men to rise up and become church militants. So Christians witnessing their people being terrorized, raped, and slaughtered on the streets and wanting to protect themselves, their families, and communities is extreme. Are you kidding me? What really is extreme is leaders and governments importing dangerous, violent foreign criminals into our nations and communities. Self-preservation is not extreme. I would say you could argue self-preservation is extreme, but it's not wrong in any sense. Ted Cruz was booed off stage by Christians. His response: if you will not stand with Israel, then I will not stand with you. A US senator just publicly pledged allegiance to foreign country over his own constituents. Clear and loud. Yeah, but what are Americans going to do about it? More, except whine about it online. Like, Ted Cruz is clearly a traitor, just like the Japanese prime minister. And one family, right-wing Trump-aligned Ellisons will soon control, and I think Ellisons probably not African American, not Mongolian American, some other kind of American ethnicity. So anyway, they control TikTok, CBS, CNN, HBO, Discovery Channel, BET, I don't know what that is, Cartoon Network, Comedy Central, DC Studios, Fandango, Miramax, MTV, Nickelodeon. Didn't MTV just die? Paramount, Pluto TV, Showtime, TBS, the CW, TNT, Warner Bros., and more. This is oligarchy. Judeocracy. Judeocracy. Um, Laura Loomer flew to India. Before she left, she deleted all of her anti Indian tweets, thousands of them gone. She thought nobody would notice. An Indian uncle noticed. He read them back to her on camera, everyone, her own words, her own bigotry directed at people whose country she was visiting as a guest. This is the woman who has the personal cell phone number of the President of the United States. This is the woman who shaped immigration policy from Mar-a-Lago. She deleted the evidence before crossing the border. Internet is forever. The uncle is a hero. So yeah, that's sort of based from the uncle guy. Okay, let's see what's next. Full quote. The Jews I find are very. So who is this? Is President Harry S. Truman. So the Jews I find are very, very selfish. They care not how many Estonians, Latvians, Finns, Poles, Yugoslavs, or Greeks get murdered or mistreated as DP, displaced persons, as long as the Jews get special treatment. Yet, when they have power, physical, financial, or political, neither Hitler nor Stalin has anything on them for cruelty or mistreatment to the underdog. Handwritten note by President Harry S. Truman dated July 21st, 1947. Surprising remarks made during a meeting with former Treasury Secretary Henry Morgenthau Jr. Yeah, he tried to warn you, but you didn't listen. President Truman, in an unearthed letter to Eleanor Roosevelt and separate note, both 1947, compares Zionists to Hitler and Stalin. US Zionists will eventually prejudice everyone against them. Jews are like all underdogs. When they get to the top, they're just as intolerant and as cruel as the people who were to them when they were underneath. Yeah. Okay, what's this? A US bank tower in LA was just acquired by none other than Larry Silverstein. Might not be a bad idea to work remotely effective immediately. So is this the City Bank, City Plaza, whatever I mentioned, or is this a different building he acquired? Not quite sure. Um, Australian 9 news presenter has to explain that he's allowed to say river from river to the sea as a journalist without being arrested. How did Australia get so Orwellian that the words river and sea are now illegal? Yeah, because I think there was some young girl, like a week or maybe a couple of weeks ago, arrested because she had a shirt saying something about from the river to the sea, of course, referring to Palestinian struggle. Was this insane framing? He was. Okay, let's see. So, Israeli military says it's dropping charges against 5 soldiers who were accused of sexually abusing a Palestinian detainee. Yeah, remember this incident a few months ago? Insane framing. He was anally gang raped, he was severely beaten, and then anally gang raped on camera. Both a knife and a taser were reportedly used. There was a hole in his rectal wall. He got surgery for it because he was anally gang raped by the ADF on camera. He also had 7 broken ribs and other injuries as well. After it happened, Israelis staged multiple large protests in the streets, not because they believed the soldiers did anything wrong, but because they were infuriated that the soldiers were arrested for anally gang raping a Palestinian on camera. These protests weren't just random people, they included multiple high ranking Knesset members, the Congress who defended the anal gang rapists. So, see, it's not just but I think it was also random people. So it's not just the politicians in Israel who are evil. It's most people. Hashtag not all and or that, but quite a big number of them. They didn't stop there. They went after the lawyer who leaked the video. She was publicly smeared and was forced to resign and was arrested as well. Now the anal gang rapists who were caught on camera have had their charges dropped. They didn't win in court. They weren't somehow exonerated. The charges were completely and indefensibly dropped. The Jerusalem Post reports that there was sufficient evidence to take this to trial. This is part of a larger pattern of torture and impunity. NYT and many other major outlets have extensively detailed the abuses of the SD torture factory. NYT reported that prisoners lose 30 plus pounds, a nurse was anally raped by a metal rod, another man was raped by a dog, another was anally raped by a fiery heat rod until it's a fiery heat rod until he died. Yes, the NYT reported all of that. I shared the sources in the replies. Torture and sexual assault are commonplace at SD Taman. However, that's supposed to be said, and many prisoners die in the process. The UN concluded that rape from the IDF soldiers is so commonplace that it constitutes an official strategy of war. And of course, these monsters virtually never faced jail time because Israelis by and large don't have any problem with any of it. This is just what society does. They torture Palestinians, yeah. So this is why Iran is truly doing God's work by, bombing Israel. Um, the Fell For It Award. So let's have a look first. This is, of course, the famous painting, sort of changed with Fell For It Award and MAGA hats. Fell For It Award is the great symbol of our time because it is literally impossible for any democratically elected government to reform or do anything in the interest of its people. No argument there. Any politician will be worn down, threatened, bribed, assassinated, or as a final resort, walk through the retirement numbers and state finances. You can't get there from here. Violent revolution and mass death are only ways you can get anything. More freedom, less immigrants, more job opportunities, less crime, fewer wars, cars that don't suck, boobies in video games, because the state of demographics and special interests are such that there is no way to fix anything without riots, hyperinflation, debt crisis, and the CIA assassinating you. It is a regime complete problem. If no one is dying, nothing can be fixed. You can peaceably reform boomer retirement. You can peaceably take black people's kids and make them go to jail for crimes again. You can end mass migration without crushing housing markets, the stock market, and the boomer assets. You can fire the HR ladies and hire white men for jobs they're qualified for without mass rioting of hysterical girl boss carrier women who will be first laid off in any fair economy. Someone has to lose, and the violence is how we assign the loser. Every time you vote, you are complicit in the lie that we are somehow all one people and the responsible citizens of the same political family with the same interest. We're not. We're trillions of dollars in debt. We're not ethnically related. Some people are assets capable of producing value, and others are complete liabilities incapable of even providing for themselves. And very soon, the only way to have your survival will be to carve it out of enemy ethnicities and classes. You will always fall for it again if you think there is a peaceful solution. There wasn't a peaceful solution between the Romans and migratory Huns. Why would there be a peaceful solution between Britons and the migratory Pakistanis? Interesting take. Not saying I agree with everything said here, but I do think there's lots of ideas that should be considered. Uh, okay, I guess this is. Let's go to the last section. So games and entertainment and AI and IT crap as well. So let's see. This is actually insane. Be tech guy in Australia, adopt cancer-riddled rescue dog, months to live. Not going to give you up. MP4, pay $3,000 to sequence her tumor DNA, feed it to ChatGPT and AlphaFold. Zero background in biology, identify mutated proteins, match them to drug targets, design a custom mRNA cancer vaccine from scratch. Genomics professor is gobsmacked that some popular did this on his own. Need ethics approval to administer it. Red tape takes longer than designing the vaccine. 3 months, finally approved. Drive 10 hours to get Rosie her first injection. Tumor halves. Coat gets glossy again. Dog is alive and happy. Professor, if we can do this for a dog, why aren't we rolling this out for humans? One man with a chatbot and $3,000 just outperformed the entire pharmaceutical discovery pipeline. We are going to cure so many diseases. I don't think people realize how good things are going to get. This is like, no, they're not going to allow people to do this. Like big pharma is going to sue or assassinate people, or who knows what, to prevent people from, coming up with their own cures. I'm pretty sure, the elite of the elites, they don't die of cancer. They have the cure, but for whatever reason, they don't want us, regular common people to have the cure. But it's still, if this story is true, it's impressive what this guy did. If he managed to save the dog's life, that's great. But it's like, sort of referring to the previous post that, we need a, let's say, a proper revolution to fix things. And it's like they're not just going to allow people to keep doing this. If, ChatGPT can help others cure difficult illnesses, like, no, that's not how it's going to go down. Like there are financial interest and other kinds of interest in the way. This is wild. 143 million people thought they were catching Pokemon. Let's see this first. So Pokemon Go players trained 30 billion image AI map. Niantic says photos and scans collected through Pokemon Go and its AR apps have produced massive dataset of more than 30 billion real-world images. The company is now using that data to power visual navigation for delivery robots, letting them identify exact locations in city streets without relying on GPS. So, so people who thought they were catching Pokemon, they were actually building one of the largest real-world visual data sets in AI history. Niantic just disclosed that photos and AR scans collected through. So I didn't know like that you have to take pictures when you play Pokemon Go, or did it take pictures without your permission, or what? Because I've never played the game. So anyway, they collected through Pokemon Go have produced dataset of 30 billion real-world images. The company is now using that data to power visual navigation AI for delivery robots. Players didn't just walk around with their phones, they scanned landmarks, storefronts, parks, and sidewalks from every angle at every time of day in lighting, weather conditions that stage photography would never capture. They documented the physical world at a scale no mapping company with a fleet of vehicles could have replicated on the same timeline or budget. Niantic collected this systematically, point by data point, across 8 years, while users thought the only thing at stake was catching a rare Charizard. The most valuable AI training datasets in the world are being assembled in data centers. They're being built by people who have no idea they're building them. So yeah, it's wondering if you could like could they sue for this? They're being used for this without permission, or is there like some fine print in the EULA or something? Uh, but I think it sort of goes to prove that the NPC theory is correct. That these people are just tools for this company to develop this AI, and it's sad, sad. Uh, Valve has published its official response to the New York Attorney General lawsuit regarding loot boxes in Counter-Strike 2, Dota 2, and Team Fortress 2. Why is it all twos? Well, how about Half-Life 2? Why are there loot boxes? They describe cosmetic items as equivalent to collectible trading cards with no effect on gameplay, and reject the claim that they constitute illegal gambling. Valve states it has already taken extensive action against unauthorized third-party gambling sites, including locking over 1 million accounts and imposing trade restrictions. The company is opposing the AG's demands to make items non-transferable and to collect additional use data, calling those requirements excessive. If the Attorney General prevails, Valve warns that New York players could lose their ability to sell or trade their digital items. They have to get the mark to be able to sell, buy or sell stuff. The mark of the beast. Steam has warned some of users about malware found in several indie games, including Block Blasters, Chemia, Dashverse, Dash FPS, Lampy, Lunar, Pirate Fi, Tokenova. Never heard of any of them. These games were available on Steam between May 2024 and January 2026. The FBI is now investigating and asking affected players to report what happened. So yeah, this quite a few. I wonder, like, is it some sort of concerted effort? Is it, were they uploaded, the games uploaded with the explicit intent to harm Steam, or was it for simply to extract information or who knows what from the people who bought those games or what? But yeah, this is sort of like, it's quite a lot of games if Steam didn't notice that there was some sort of malware there. That is a bit of a mistake, but still is sort of sounds like, I wonder what was the motivation between them. Was it the Rothschilds already back then? Valve went 6 years without a single lawsuit, but after recently winning a case against the Rothschild, they've suddenly been hit with 5 lawsuits in a matter of weeks. That feels like it goes deeper than coincidence. Yeah. Meta is pushing for hard new age verification laws, not new age, like new age verification. In 2025, Meta spent a record of $26.3 million in lobbying in Washington and employed more than 86 lobbyists in 45 states. They also quietly fund a group called the Digital Childhood Alliance that appears to be concerned parent organization that supports the same rules. Large review of nearly $2 billion in grants from the Arabella Advisors Network found $0 going to actual child safety or age verification projects. Hmm. Yeah, so how about we destroy Meta, Facebook, put them in an oubliette, the people behind it. Now, this is weird news. CD Projekt Red co-founders have been named in a reopened Polish investigation into a 2018 death of a 54-year-old Polish woman on a farm in Janov, Czech Republic. Janov, not sure how to pronounce it. The woman died during a shamanic ceremony involving ayahuasca, a psychoactive brew that is illegal in many countries. Polish prosecutors reopened the case based on new evidence, including materials mentioning the founders due to property connections. Kicinski co-owned the Yanov farm where the ceremonies took place and reportedly participated in some ayahuasca rituals earlier, while Irvinsky owned a nearby property used for similar events. No charges have been filed against them. The investigation remains ongoing as of March 2026. Yeah, weird stuff. Fortune owner Hiroyuki Evangelion director Hideaki Anno and Gakt. Gakt was the singer of Malice Miser for a while and then went to a solo career. Don't know if he still does music. Anyway, they participate in humanity's last known AI-made social network, Po. So is this like the Japanese Twitter that was a thing a few months ago and then it went down? And is this the same thingy or not? I'm not sure. Um, so turns out Ex-Voto 1348 was funded through Italian grant system, so Italian taxpayers funded propaganda. So it's some, woke, game where you play as a female lesbian knight who is supposed to go save her girlfriend or something. That's, apparently is not very good, and it's Italian taxpayer funded propaganda, it seems. Adobe will pay $75 million to settle a lawsuit claiming that it made it too difficult for customers to cancel subscriptions. Finally, but are they gonna change the canceling subscriptions policy though? The U.S. Department of Justice claims Adobe violated federal consumer protection laws, and I wonder, like, to whom are they paying the $75 million? Is it to their former customers, or just to the US government, or who exactly is getting it. Someone created a website to track game flops in real time, live tracking with live charts, trend analysis, and chat. I haven't checked it out, but it sounds interesting. Flopathon, I guess is the name. Maybe I should have a look at some point. And a reminder that the only time MasterCard has flinched is when outrage was directed at them, attacking platforms like Subscribe Star for Visa MasterCard's extra legal censorship is exactly the deflection they want. Yeah, because Subscribe Star, they have some new policies that I guess makes it very difficult for artists to make any kind of lewd or semi-lewd materials or something. I don't quite remember how it was exactly. Nintendo's lawsuit against the US government over tariffs has been automatically paused. I wonder if Nintendo is going to start funding Iran or something because of this. That would be beautiful. It would be glorious. Crimson Desert is facing huge backlash after adding Denuvo DRM 7 days before launch. Yeah, I'm never going to buy anything with Denuvo. And this is a game that lots of people are excited about. I don't know much about it except that you can punch women in it. And there's also this. It's odd that no one is complaining about Crimson Desert for this, as Crimson Desert Disc requires internet authentication plus a 48 gigabyte download for initial setup. Otherwise, disc is unplayable. It's basically Nintendo Game Key card, which people do really hate. Yeah, so maybe they don't care. They just want their slop and don't dare to complain. Crimson Desert is the first game to lock down early disc copies. More publishers need to do this to prevent leaks, especially Rockstar's. So, but it just means that the disc is worthless unless it's like a early disc copy, like some uh, review copy disc. I guess I'm fine if they have some weird DRM stuff like that. But if it's like actual commercial copy and the game isn't on the disc, then you shouldn't sell the disc. Slay the Spire 2 devs don't care about people pirating their game and say they are happy about other devs learning from their code. Honestly, we don't really care. Card wrote. Wait, Card? Wait, is the developer's name Card? It's a card game made by somebody called Card. Okay, we figure out people who want to pirate it will always find ways to pirate it, so there's no reason to waste dev resources on it. Yeah, that's a Chad move right there, like the picture shows. Even though like the first Slay the Spire, I think it's overrated. Like certainly not a bad game, but it was like never really like it looked really exciting, but when I finally played it, it's like yeah, it's okay. I finished it with all the three characters that were available back in the day. I think now there's more, but I haven't touched it in several years. So and now there's like a million different iterations with a similar formula. Anyways, but still, I guess I hopefully Slay the Spire 2 is better. Anyways, and this is very Orwellian. Started reading Pretty Little Liars, originally published in 2006, and I'm 5 pages in, and they've updated it to include a TikTok reference. I don't know what the fuck. Whatever. So, you guys want to come over and watch this cool TikTok I found? This guy is doing his challenge where he eats bugs. Mona called. So I saw somewhere in the comments somebody say that originally it said Fear Factor. So we want to watch Fear Factor, and yeah, Fear Factor is infamous for people eating bugs on the TV show. So this is so fucking Orwellian. Like people cannot relate to stuff that happened 20 years ago. Like that's how they're trying to make people that if it's not something they have done themselves, they cannot relate. But also, this doesn't any make any fucking sense. Like, come watch this cool TikTok. Like, do people? I'm not the target audience, but like, do teenagers or whatever invite each other? Like, hey, come to my place to watch TikTok. Like, can't they just send the TikTok link to their friends on fucking Instagram or whatever they use, and watch it there? Like, it doesn't make sense to invite you over to watch a TikTok. Am I wrong here? Uh, Prime Monster is a political roguelite all about surviving in a parliament of literal monsters where you play as a slimy bastard passing laws and making bad decisions as you make crazy promises on the campaign train and ignore the rules of the house. Wait, are we talking about a video game? So it sounds like a fun game. I will be paying attention to it when it comes out. Or has it come out already? Not sure yet. So what is it called? Prime Monster. Okay, the name is difficult to remember. It's too boring, but I guess it makes sense. Like, Prime Minister, Prime Monster. APAC got caught. Wait, this might be a bit wrong. This should have been earlier, but anyway, Max Blumenthal obtained leaked audio of APAC CEO admitting they groomed Marco Rubio and Mike Waltz from the beginning. They are now our lifelines. So Marco Rubio and Mike Waltz from the beginning. They are now our lifelines inside the administration. That's an unregistered foreign lobbyist describing Trump's national security team. So this does not serve American interest. Trump did it for one reason: Israeli influence. Okay. Yeah, all right. Two unrelated indie games, both named Piece by Piece, launched Steam just one day apart. Instead of conflict, the teams turned the coincidence into a collaboration and released a combined Piece by Piece double bundle that offers both games together at a 10% discount. I guess that's sort of sweet that this is how they happened. Like, there's so easy that there's stupid lawsuits or something, but also, like, they sort of deserve to suffer because Piece by Piece is just such a generic name for a game. So, like, the you sort of deserve to suffer for it if you don't try to make a unique game that, and it doesn't really. Okay, this looks like Piece by Piece. This one has something to do with puzzles, but it's like, doesn't tell you anything about the game, how it's gonna be or anything. So Henry Cavill demands full creative control over Warhammer series, refusing to compromise the Emperor. What would compromise the Emperor even mean? Well, of course, make, black, gay, trans, disabled, whatever. So is the Warhammer 40k TV series, like, is it still in production? Because I thought it was cancelled. Like, years ago, I heard the claim that Henry Cavill was supposed to be both like producing and acting in it, but which is great news. But like, I I'd really like to see a good 40k TV series, but I'm not holding my breath that they won't violate it somehow. Ex-developers of Witcher, Cyberpunk 2077, and Dying Light are building a roguelike where each time you die, time skips forward 10 years. Explore a massive wasteland, your actions reshape the entire world, fully destructible environments called Erosion. Looks great. This sounds interesting. Sounds interesting. But I don't know, like, looking at the gameplays, like, guess it looks okay, but the idea is interesting. Robert E. Howard on the people who read his books. He, of course, wrote Conan and other books. The people who read my stuff want to get away from this modern, complicated world with its hypocrisy, its cruelty, and its dog eats dog life. The civilization we live in is a hell of a lot more sinister than the time I write about. Was he correct? Absolutely. And he wrote this before World War II even was a thing. And like, I just read his Khal stories. Like, Khal is the king of like a exile of Atlantis and king of Vandalus, Valus, whatever. I forgot the name of his kingdom, but like is a very like a proto Conan kind of character, like is written before Conan, and I think some of the stories were really good. Um, Not all of them, of course, but like yeah, Kull, Kull. That's I think was interesting. Okay, Jeff Kaplan's advice to people who complain about video games they've never played: shut the fuck up. So this is some guy who worked for Blizzard with Overwatch, I think. And Niles Sankey says, as a former Bungie dev and current indie dev, let me explain how it actually is. You have every right to hate any game and complain about any company for any reason. Exactly. If you want to hate Halo, cool. If you want to hate my new indie game, go right ahead. I can take it. Yeah, that's manly attitude. Like, oh my god, like So he's allowed to hate people who criticize games. Like, I don't know if he was talking about uh, High Guard. Is that the game that just died? And especially games like that that are undeniable flops. Like because it feels like in like you're allowed to hate them, even though like hating like something like High Guard is because nobody expected it to be anything is sort of like a waste of energy. But anyway, like it seems like nowadays the only people who actually get paid proper money, like Concord and High Guard, are people who are either part of some insane wokey cult, or you're mentioned in the Epstein files or something. But if you're a normal person who might do something reasonable, no, like you get paid peanuts. But like then garbage like High Guard and Concord, like millions of dollars are thrown, just completely thrown away. Anyway, and yeah, speaking of that sort of stuff, so somebody here, Pedro Gonzalez says the new right can't and will not ever produce any real art or culture that will stand the test of time because it is fundamentally driven by hatred and resentment, and a movement based on those things cannot create anything beautiful or worthwhile. It's a gutter movement. So I think he might be right for the wrong reasons. Like, okay, it's not the right wing that's fundamentally driven by hatred and resentment; it's the left wing. But it's like the right wing just won't create anything worthwhile is because nobody's funding them, because the few right wing millionaires and stuff, they are not really using their money for trying to promote lesser known names, or trying to figure out, or anything. They're not building anything new really. They're just sitting on their assets and watching and as they grow and complaining online, instead of actually using their money for something good. Whereas Israel and the left wing and stuff, they have George Soros and people like that uh, putting money into their causes. So anyway, Isaac Young here says, I think he's a writer or something. Yeah, sci-fi author. I'm not sure what falls under the new right, but in terms of the conservative art fun problem discourse, it's not a lack of people or raw talent, it's funding. Yeah, exactly. Your right-wing artists are all broke. Everyone expects the right to do mainstream culture, but mainstream culture is super expensive, therefore no influential artist to invest in. Conservatives see no influential artists don't want to invest in the niche ones. Thus, the vicious cycle perpetuates forever. Yeah, because I'm a writer. I've never published anything, but like I try to publish my stuff, but nobody's interested in it. And I'm confident enough that it's at least better than the most of the crap that gets published nowadays. But of course, like I don't tick all the right boxes of trans disabled black woman or whatever. And oh yeah, but now we have historical isekai about the Hittite Empire. Like, how many people have even heard about the Hittites? They were like, so they lived in Anatolia, like yeah, Red River Anatolia story, like in current day Turkey. I think they were like a Germanic tribe. I don't know a great deal about the Hittites, but I know enough when I see like a fucking anime about Hittites, because it's I mean, I get very excited. Like this is something I'm gonna watch as soon as it comes out because it's very interesting. Uh, it's not like Egyptian or I don't know Roman or something. No, it's Hittite or it's not ancient Greece, Sparta, Athens, nothing like that. No, it's Hittites. But that's the last news story. Ended on a high note. See that's at least sounds like right wing. Like I don't really believe in left and right wing, but this is like unless it has some retarded political messaging, that's right wing art in my opinion. Like if it's somewhat historically accurate. Um, Show, and well, it has isekai, so it already implies some sort of supernatural, I guess, that made somebody be born from current, I guess, modern Japan into ancient Hittite Empire. But so yeah, just that's the biggest story of the week. Forget all about war, whether Netanyahu is alive, that doesn't matter. But Hittites, that's where it's at. With that, I will end the stream. I am Adventure Argonaut. I thank you for watching. Bye bye.